And hello again, everybody, and welcome to Strategic Insights Radio. This broadcast is being sponsored by Maid of Duluth and hosted by CEO of Sterling Rose Consulting Corp, Vlad Rusz. Vlad's a serial entrepreneur who currently owns 4 companies, ranging from just under 2 years of age to over 7 years old, with net revenues of $175,000 to over $5 million. Today's show will be discussing different aspects of franchises and the pros and cons of owning a franchise. Vlad?
Thank you, Mike. Today's Strategic Insights Radio is proud to introduce the owner and sponsor of our show, Dave Wilkins from Maid of Duluth. Dave comes from an interesting background with accounting, corporate, IT. This year, along with his wife, Joanne, they left the corporate world and purchased a master franchise from Maid. Dave, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Vlad. It's great to be here.
So, Dave, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your background?
Sure. Well, it goes back many, many years, actually. I've got over 30 years of accounting and IT experience. I started out in accounting, became a CPA, then decided to go back, get my MBA, got into IT at that time, and then really followed the world in terms of IT consulting. Worked for a number of the big consulting firms such as E&Y, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and IBM. And mostly in that time, it was a practice manager and project manager.
Thank you, Dave. So I wanted to jump in right into franchises here. This is what we're going to talk about. It's what the show is going to be about. According to AZ Franchises, there are over 900,000 franchise businesses across 300 different categories in the United States. Combined, these provide nearly 18 million jobs and generate over $2.1 trillion to the economy. So with your vast experience in corporate world and working for companies like IBM and E&Y, and with all the options out there today, why did you choose to purchase a master franchise from Maid?
Well, I think that there's a number of different reasons, but probably the single most important reason to us was the fact of the business model of Maid, which is, as a master franchise, we have the opportunity to help a lot of people to actually start and run their own businesses within the Maid family. And for example, before this radio program, I was meeting with a unit franchise prospect from Lagos, Nigeria, who is looking to start a business. And we have the opportunity to help them get started and grow a business in ways that they probably never could if they were trying to do it on their own. We're also looking very actively to get veterans involved in it as well, because I think veterans could be a great source and a really good group of people to make unit franchises. I think the other things that appealed to us about Maid was just the overall business model. It's a very well proven business model, as it started with JanPro on the commercial cleaning side well over 20 years ago, and just the professionalism that the corporate franchise or premium franchise brands, who's the parent of both Maid and JanPro, brings to the table. And actually having the franchise located in Atlanta is definitely a plus.
Yeah, always having good access to your franchisor is always a plus when you own a franchise. Now, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the Maid model and helping people start their own businesses. According to International Franchise Association, the average initial franchise investment is about $250,000. Now, most people don't have that kind of money.
Right.
Most people, a lot of people, when they think about buying a franchise, they know it's going to take a lot of money. So a lot of them look at other opportunities to start their own business versus starting to work for a franchise because it might not be an option for them. So how does Maid make it possible for somebody that's recently come to the country or veterans that might have just gotten out of the military start their own business and start their own Maid franchise?
Yeah, it is a challenge, especially in a service business like ours, because some of the franchisees that are more capital intensive it's easier to get loans, for example, from the SBA, Small Business Administration. But in service industries such as ours, that is not as easy. So what we've done, and I think this is, again, one of the things that makes Maid Right so appealing, is we've identified and developed a number of franchise plans at different levels of revenue, and that's what we focus on, is guaranteeing the revenue. But and they start with a level of being a part-time and going all the way up to a full-time opportunity. So you can start at a small level and grow much larger as your plans and your time allow. But we have plans that actually are as low as the initial franchise fee is as low as $4,000, and they go up to $44,000. And the real beauty of it is, though, you can actually get started for as little as $1,600, because we will actually do the financing internally.
So Maid Right will actually help these soon-to-be business owners or franchise owners with internal financing to help them get started and get their business on the ground.
That's right. Yeah, we have a plan that calls for. You really have two options. You can, if you actually had the full cash for whatever plan it was, we actually offer a discount for that. But if you don't, you want to start with a down payment, you can certainly do that, and then we will finance that internally over a 2 to 3 year period, whatever works best for the franchisee. And what's great about it is it's also interest-free.
Interest-free is always good.
Quick reminder, you're listening to Strategic Insights Radio on Business Radio X, and this episode of Strategic Insights Radio is sponsored by Maid Right of Duluth, a different type of home cleaning service. At Maid Right of Duluth, they customize a house cleaning plan to fit their clients' unique needs and busy lifestyle. To book your free cleaning estimate, contact Maid Right of Duluth at 678-335-9400. And now back to the host of our show, the CEO of Sterling Rose Consulting Corp, Vlad Rusz.
So what are some of the benefits for somebody to purchase a franchise? Well, let's, even before I get into that, because you have a master franchise and there's unit franchises, from my understanding
Right.
about how Maid Right works. So what's the difference between the two?
Well, a master franchise in the Maid Right model is essentially assigned or awarded a territory, and our territory basically is the Northeast Atlanta metro area. And then what we do is we then award unit franchises to those individuals who are looking for the opportunity to start a cleaning business and then working in our territory, so that they really don't have a specific assigned portion of that territory. They just are working within our territory. So if the traditional model is usually a franchisor, franchisee. We've just added the additional level of a master, which provides really more opportunities for more unit franchises than the traditional two-tier model actually provides.
So what are some of the benefits of owning your own franchise?
And I think this is true for just about any franchise opportunity, whether it's Maid Right or others. But really, owning a franchise allows you to go into business for yourself, but not by yourself. And that's important, because today there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of business to get started. But the reality is it's hard to keep them going. And the beauty of a franchise operation is that you do have that support from the franchisor, or in our case, we have the support from the franchisor, and then we provide the support to our unit franchisees. So you're, as I say, you own the business, you're operating the business, but you're not doing it all by yourself. You've got a lot of people that are helping make. They're all looking out to make you successful. I think another good one is the fact that if you've got a good brand, brand recognition that's already in place, then you don't have to go out and spend a lot of time and money developing that brand recognition. So you can already have an established customer base in terms of, from a knowledge perspective or brand recognition, that makes it a whole lot easier to get started.
Yeah, and that's definitely true. A lot of the clients that we work with, we help them specifically in those areas because a lot of people that are looking to start their own business know their market, they know their operations, they're very knowledgeable in what they do, but they might not have the business knowledge that they need to run a successful business. And that you see that in a lot of cases where somebody's brilliant at IT or marketing or creating a product, but they really don't know how to properly manage and run a business. And I think that's where, from what I've seen working with franchises, is they get a lot of benefit. And so they don't have to know everything there is to know about marketing, everything there is to know about payroll, everything there is to know about HR. They can go ahead and just jump into a business, learn everything they need to learn, and focus on operating the business.
Oh, and that's really true because in for a good case, one of our unit franchisees came in last week. We go through, give them a lot of training so they really know how to clean, and we coach them on a lot of the aspects of running the business. But ultimately, it is their business that they are running, and she came in and she was all concerned about saying, okay, now we're starting to make some money. Now we got to worry about taxes and accounting and all that. How do we handle all that? And so that's, again, one of those areas they're not familiar with, and that's where we've worked up the networking relationships with firms that can actually help them, take care of their accounting, take care of their taxes.
Yep, that's very important, and I think a lot of businesses fall short in those categories, which is one of the reasons for our show and helping people understand everything there is to know about business and things they need to watch out for. Now, I also pride myself in giving people both sides of the story. So what are some of the negatives, or as us entrepreneurs like to call them, challenges of owning your own franchise?
Well, there are challenges. There's no question about that. I think it's one of the challenges is starting a franchise is really not a whole lot easier than starting any business because you still have to go through the whole startup phase. You still have a lot of work to do. I think one of the things that if you're a true entrepreneur, franchising may not be the best avenue to take because of the fact that there are restrictions. The franchisor does have a well-defined business process in terms of the services or the product that's being delivered, pricing, territories, and so forth. And you have to be willing to work within that model in order to be successful. And if you can't accept that, then you really want to be that trailblazer, as it were. That you're probably better off finding your own opportunity as opposed to going franchising. I think the other thing too that can be a plus or it can be a con, if you will, in terms of that is the fact that there are royalty fees and there are other fees associated with running a franchise. And the reality is those fees basically are what help support the entire organization. The value you receive for the fees, I think, is probably the most important aspect to consider whether or not they're really a pro or a con.
So, what are some of those fees for Maid Right? According to my research, the average royalty fees paid by franchisees range anywhere from 3 to 6% of their gross sales. Is that the case with Maid Right, or what is the Maid Right model?
Well, the Maid Right model is actually our royalty fees are 15%, and which is higher. In reality, when we were looking for a franchise, we found the range anywhere from 6 to 35%. But in the case of our units, it works out to 15%, and largely because of what we are providing them as a way to help build their business and grow their business. Because again, our franchise is based upon, and the model is based upon guaranteeing a level of revenue and providing them with the cleaning the homes to clean that will provide them with that guaranteed level of revenue. So there's a lot of work that we're doing.
Time for a commercial interruption here of Vlad. I want to remind our listeners that this episode of Strategic Insights Radio is sponsored by Guess who? Maid Right of Duluth, a different type of home cleaning service. At Maid Right of Duluth, they customize a house cleaning plan to fit their clients' unique needs and busy lifestyle. To book your free cleaning estimate, contact Maid Right of Duluth at 678-335-9400. Now, excuse me while I go make a phone call to Maid Right of Duluth. Back to you, Vlad.
Thank you, Mike. Now, before the break, so we're talking about the royalty fees and what a franchisee gets for those. So you as a master franchise guarantee the franchisees work, or at least they get houses to clean. How does that model work for a unit franchise?
Yeah, actually, it's what we focus on, and this is, I think, again, one of the unique aspects of Maid Right is what we do is we guarantee a minimum level of revenue per month based upon the franchise plan that the unit franchise has signed up for. So with a minimum guarantee that they know, and it's going to, the number of homes, the size of the homes, and all that will determine actually how many homes they clean, frequency. Some are weekly, some are biweekly, so forth. That all comes into play to determine how many homes they're cleaning. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that the unit franchise knows that when they've reached that as they get their plan fulfilled, they'll be earning at least a minimum number or a minimum amount of revenue a month, which can vary from say as small as $500 a month if you're really, really part-time to over $10,000 a month if you're full-time. So that's the beauty of the Maid Right model. They don't really have to worry about the homes themselves because we do the work to get them the homes, and they just focus on the cleaning. And so that's what it makes life very simple for them.
Definitely does. As being a business owner and talking with a lot of other business owners, we always have to divide our time between doing the work and finding more work to do, and that can always be a challenge for companies to find that balance where they keep enough work in their pipeline and they have enough work to do to go ahead and keep their operations alive. So for all of our listeners out there thinking about becoming a franchise owner, what advice would you give them so they feel comfortable with making a decision, or at least getting more information about how to make that decision?
Well, the first thing is do your homework. I mean, there's a lot of good websites to check out, such as Entrepreneur Magazines, the International Franchise Association, Small Business Administration. You can get a lot of good information in terms of what are the pros and cons of in franchising, what are the things to look for, how to go about it. There's actually some good online courses the IFA will provide as well that help you go through, understand how to analyze the financial disclosure document, which is probably the most key document to research, and you need to understand it. There's a lot of franchise coaches and brokers that are in the market today as well, and they can provide a lot of good information, help you guide you in the right direction based upon what they as you go through and get an assessment, they can get a sense for what opportunities might be a good fit, and as I mentioned, the financial disclosure document before, you've got to read it and make sure you read it from end to end to understand everything in it, because there's a lot of very important information in there to understand how the franchise really operates. And also, it's good to find a good franchise attorney. And I specify franchise attorney because franchise law is very unique, and it's got a lot of interesting nuances, and franchise attorneys really understand what's negotiable with a franchisor and what's not, and so they can help guide you and get you through the process a whole lot quicker.
Yeah, definitely, and I would make the same recommendation, because there's a lot of laws and they differ from state to state.
Absolutely.
Every state's got their own laws that govern franchises, and that determines whether, for example, the franchisor needs to provide a disclosure document, what needs to be in that document, and it's initially when you make that decision, just like with any investment, initially the franchisee or soon-to-be franchisee is essentially the investor, and they need to do the same kind of due diligence that an investor would do when investing in a company to make sure that it's the right fit, to understand how everything ties in together, what they're going to be responsible for, what the franchisor is responsible for, what the fees are. Every franchise is different. So some might charge an upfront fee, some might not. Some might charge a higher fee on the back end based on revenues and royalties. Others might go ahead and limit what you could do in marketing, or limit which companies you can use in terms of getting signage, getting your accounting done, getting your taxes done. So I think it's very important for franchisees or people considering to buy into franchises that they understand what they need to expect in order to make that best decision.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
So I wanted to ask a few more questions here. Going into marketing for a franchise. Now, I've come across franchisors or franchises where all marketing is done by the franchisor. Others, they let the franchisee do the marketing to a point. What are some of the limitations for Maid Right for you, or that you've come across in terms of marketing?
You know, we really haven't had that many limitations. I mean, I think certainly from the franchisor perspective, you know, they've provided a lot of guidance in terms of areas or various medium and sources for marketing. But largely, we are given a lot of free rein in terms of how we go about it, and in fact, I mean, we're getting very broad in terms of our base, whether it's print, digital. You know, we're getting ready to shoot some TV commercials. We're doing this radio program, for example. You know, so there's a lot of opportunities to do the marketing, and I think that's also one of the great benefits of Maid Right is the fact that we do this marketing so that our unit franchisees don't have to.
Yeah, definitely. With cleaning houses, obviously, it's very broad. It's a lot of referrals, and people do like to stay with a good house cleaner, and I think that's hard for somebody doing it out there on their own. We've helped a few individuals start their own cleaning business, and it's the hardest challenge. They know how to clean. They know what needs to get done.
Yep.
They're hard workers. There's no question about that, but they don't necessarily have the business acumen to create all their marketing, all their logos, all their collateral, and it gets very expensive. So for somebody looking to start a cleaning business, that's a very high upfront investment that a lot of people don't consider that they need to go ahead and spend money on.
And see, those would be great unit franchise candidates for us.
Yep, definitely would be. Some of them definitely needed a good amount of help. Some of them were on the right track, and I think a lot of people don't consider franchises as a way of creating a business that they can own. And I think that's where some of them are wrong in their thinking, because you still own your business, and there's a lot of, and with a franchise, you can sell it just like with
Exactly.
any other business. So in the end, you're still creating ownership and value for yourself and for your family, for your descendants, I guess. So you can, at the end of the day, when you're ready to retire, if you don't want to hand the business off to, let's say, a family member or pass it down the line, you can always sell it and cash out, which I think is one of the great benefits of a franchise. And typically a franchise is a lot easier to sell than a completely independent business.
That's true. And I think the other aspect is the fact that our unit franchisees aren't just limited to whatever cleaning they can do. And see, they can actually hire employees of their own, so that they can actually grow their business within the Maid Right family, so that ultimately the unit franchisee could become a manager of their own small cleaning company within the Maid Right master franchise. And we've got some unit franchisees now that have as many as 4 employees that are working for them.
Okay, so they're not just limited to what they can clean. They can go ahead and expand their business as a unit franchise and hire more people.
Absolutely.
And as far as getting houses to clean, does Maid Right help you as a master franchise to get the work for the unit franchises?
As a master franchise, yes, that is one of our primary responsibilities. Again, because focused on the guaranteed revenue, we do the marketing and advertising to build the customer awareness. We will also then go out and do the estimates, free in-home estimates, meet with the customers to understand exactly how they want their home cleaned, and the frequency and so forth. We take all that information, bring it back, and then determine which of the unit franchisees to offer that particular customer to, based upon location, the capacity the unit franchise has to take on more customers, and just some of the personal nuances that preferences that the units have.
Great. And any other words of advice you would give to somebody? I know this show we're dedicating to the unit franchise, which is helping people understand a little bit more about how Maid Right works, and specifically what the benefits are for working for or buying a franchise from Maid Right. Any other aspects of a unit franchise that you would want people to really be aware of, that the opportunity that is for them?
Well, one is what makes it a little different is the fact that for most, and ourselves, and I think most franchisees when they get started, is it does take a while to get to a point where you're breaking even, where you're starting to really make money, because there is a big investment up front, and it takes a while to get to that point. With our unit franchisees, they could be making money day one. So they actually have positive cash flow that they'll be realizing. So that's one of the real benefits.
And what recommendations would you have for somebody, say, that's currently working as a house cleaner or working has another job and they're looking to change careers, as far as looking at purchasing a unit franchise from Maid Right?
Well, we'd love to speak to anybody who is interested in that, whether they do have their own cleaning businesses now or they're just cleaning a few homes on their own. We have programs to bring existing cleaning businesses in as unit franchisees. People who are working those night shift that would ultimately like to get to the day job, this gives them an opportunity. They can start small, do it kind of on a part-time basis to get started and start building up a little bit of a reserve so that they can transition to a full-time day job and move out of the night shift scenarios. So there's a lot of that, and we would be more than happy to have those conversations. And all they have to do is just call our office. Abigail Moran, who's our customer service rep, she's great in terms of getting these meetings scheduled. As I say, I had one just before coming to the show, and we'll sit down, go through the whole process with them, and help them understand, answer any questions they've got, go through the financial disclosure process, and go from there. So again, they can call our office at the same number, 678-335-9400, or they could reach Abigail at abigail.moran. That's ABIGAIL.moran, MORIN, at maidright, MAIDRIGHT.com. And then you can also check out our website at www.duluth.maidright.com or Facebook at Maid Right of Duluth.
Well, thank you, Dave. And I know you guys are also doing a few different events, and you guys just did the
Duluth Fall Festival.
The Duluth Fall Festival.
A bit soggy, but it was interesting, a lot of fun, met some really good people.
What other events are you guys going to be doing over the next couple of months?
Well, we're looking at we're actually going to be participating in a a balloon festival. It's up at in Flowery Branch. There's also a health festival that's going to be out at Swanee Town Park at the end of the month, end of October, that we're looking to get involved in that one as well. So there's a lot of other interesting events that are coming up over the next few months, but and then looking to next year, we do the home shows. We do a number of events with the Gwinnett Chamber as well.
Great to hear, and I wanted to also congratulate you on your nomination for the Pinnacle Awards. Anybody out there looking to get more information, they have the contact information already. I want to thank you for your sponsorship of this program for Strategic Insights Radio. And do you want to just one more time provide them that phone number in case anybody has any questions about starting their own Maid Right franchise?
Yep. And anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to talk to them. Again, the number is 678-335-9400.
All right, Dave Wilkins of Maid Right of Duluth, thank you. Vlad Rusz, Sterling Rose Consulting Corp, thank you as well. And thank you, Strategic Insights Radio. A quick reminder that Strategic Insights Radio is live every other Thursday of the month. The show is brought to you by Sterling Rose Consulting Corp and Maid Right of Duluth. For a free download of a white paper based on the subject of franchises, visit strategicinsightsradio.com. You'll also be able to find out more information about the guest Dave Wilkins and his firm Maid Right of Duluth, as well as our host sponsor Sterling Rose Consulting Corp. You can call Vlad Rusz directly at 470-238-9097. Once again, future downloads of the show are available on iTunes and SoundCloud. This has been Strategic Insights Radio here on Business Radio X.